live stream. It appears to be online. We can't have 144p. No, we can't have 240p. Is that just what I'm watching? Turned it down to 720. I may be able to handle that. I may be satisfied with that. But it's better than nothing but stutter. There we go. My desktop audio was playing back also. I should know that from Twitch. Okay, so if you're familiar with the website pocketwatchdatabase.com or whatever, so many people look at that website, and it is a good resource, but it could also be misleading at times, particularly in this case, at least. I mean, there's just one example here, and you can't tell quite so much from this view. Let me provide another view there. I'm sorry I keep jumping back and forth between something and nothing. Okay, let me show you with no bezel here. Okay, right here, that is supposed to be a lever set watch. If, according to WebC ball standards, it is, according to WebC ball standards, it's supposed to be a lever set watch. As you can see there, and I know it could easily be a lever sticking there and you couldn't tell, but there is no lever there. This is pendant set stem wind watch. For the most part, it's the same as the official standard of the same version, and I will provide I'll provide one next. Except one of the other main differences is this is 17 joule compared to the 19 joule. That's approximately, they're both 1899 models. This was produced somewhere around 1903. The next one that I'm going to show was produced somewhere around 1904, 1905. And I am going to continue and show a little bit. I know a lot of times people have some confusion about how to set a lever set watch, and that was an issue once for me. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at my computer screen, and that's not the main subject here, but that was an issue for me one time when I sold a watch to someone on eBay, and luckily the guy was very friendly, but he gave me feedback immediately without asking. But the issue was that he didn't know how to set a lever set watch. He assumed that the watch did not set. I actually didn't. I don't think that I mentioned anything in my terms about the watch setting. So he didn't give me bad feedback on that. He gave me positive feedback because the watch did everything that I said. But once I had a chance to explain to him, the feedback was still there, but it was positive. He still gave me positive feedback, and that was very lucky. But it is something that I would like to show. And there are other people on YouTube that have shown this, but I just for my own purposes, for anyone I sell watches to in the future, I would like to provide that information so that I can share that with them directly. Nope, this is live. So sorry. Yeah. Sometimes it's gonna happen. Okay, so enough for the commercial version of the watch there. Let's go. Hey, how many versions of the commercial folder did I need open? Hey, let me show my ugly face while I'm looking for it. I say that. Sorry. Okay. All right, now. And I do have. All right, let me just go ahead and show it with the bezel and the crystal. Uh, Definitely the trademark appears much different. Here it is. Okay, definitely the trademark appears much different. The watch definitely appears different. I'd have to look back, but I believe that, well, see, this is single sunk. I believe the other dial was flat. And if you're unfamiliar with nomenclature, if you're calling the watch, where you see the numbers, if you're calling that the face, it's actually a dial, and many people refer to it as being made out of porcelain. It's actually made out of enamel. So that's one thing that's nice to know when you're speaking with someone, when you're speaking with a professional, and you're requesting parts. It's good to know the right terminology, because honestly, they prefer to help someone out who is more on their level, because it's just really worth their time more. And I'm expressing what I have experienced. I have been quite lucky to have people that have been willing to interact with me, and that is through kindness and respect for my dad, who died several years back, and so the majority of my collection was my dad's. So okay, let's go through and take a look at some of the other video of this particular watch, and let's go ahead and look with no bezel. And actually, it's pretty near. It looks about the same, but you could see here, this is actually the lever, this small piece here. Should have gotten a picture at a little different angle, but I actually had these hanging from something at the time. It was just, if you've ever tried to take pictures of watches, it can be a pain. I think this was my first experience really trying to take pictures with a webcam, and that's actually what I'm using now. I'm gonna be getting a better camera in the future, but this is what I have now. Okay, so move on. Let's take a look at the movement. Let's see. All right, here. And once again, this is upside down. The others, once I get past these first three, the others will be upright, because I'll be showing them live, holding them, working with them, and that sort of thing. So here, it may be difficult to read, but it says official standard, and may be difficult to read because it's upside down, and either way, that's what that says there is official standard, and that is actually, these were the ones that were actually used on railroads at some point in time after Webb C ball video ended. I took a little, that was a little shorter than some of the others. So, okay, one of the ways, let me show here. One of the ways that you can identify, there are many ball watches that were made, like I said, ball watches were not produced by Ball Watch Company. They were produced by many other companies. Hamilton, Illinois, Waltham, many other companies produced watches for Ball. Once again, here I'm not looking at the camera. And anyway, looking at the regulator and the balance cock, if you are familiar with those, that's one way of identifying it. Although, if you have access to adequate information, it's easier to determine from lists these days. But to verify, it's always good to actually know what the watch parts look like. So, and just for the heck of it here, let's take a look at the watch back. This is actually, to me, a kind of a nice case. 14 karat gold filled. Can't have everything solid 14 karat or whatever, but in fact, hardly anything. At least on my budget. But anyhow, I believe, that particular case is original to the movement, and you can tell by how the you can tell by the marks the screws leave in the. I'm sorry, I forget my words when I'm under pressure here. Anyhow, you can really tell as you examine from the movement side the screws that hold the movement into place. The case screws. There you go. I forget my words even when I'm not under pressure. The case screws leave marks, and if you change out the case, almost invariably they're going to leave marks in different places. It's not common that that you're going to replace it with a case that has marks in the same place. All right, so let's move on, and moving on to what I'm doing here is I'm moving on to a watch that I like better. It's kind of moving forward, a progression here. Let's see. I didn't label these quite as well. Let's see how much time. I got a pretty good bit of time on this video. Okay, so once again, and a lot of the ball watches I have pretty much the same trademark. There are many different trademarks. I say many. I can't put a number on it, but the Ball official railroad standard Cleveland is what you see most, and this is essentially a boxcar style dial style dial. Sounds funny. Um, you can see that it's extremely visible, and that's the kind of thing that was desirable for uh, railroad watches. Railroad watches were something that my dad was very interested in, as well as clocks, railroad clocks, and that's because, well, he grew up beside a train track, and he really liked trains. Personally, trains drive me crazy. I work at a place where it's necessary for me to spend the night, 2 nights in a row every week, and that's my job. So I'm there a couple of nights, and then I'm home for quite a while. That part is kind of nice, but I do have to spend time where trains go by every night, and my dad would have loved it. He thought that he couldn't sleep well later in life because he no longer had a train going by the house. Okay, so that was the dial side with the bezel. So let's take a look. And this may be with the bezel again. No. Okay, good. No, it's not. But, oh, it's going to run out quickly. I think that was... Yeah, here we go. I had an issue with that one. So I cut it short. Now, once again, I didn't get an angle that was very good here. But this is a lever. The lever is actually here. And if you're unfamiliar, that lever, basically you just take your fingernail and you pull it out. And it kind of comes out at an angle. And it basically disengages the winding, the winding mechanisms, the wheels and everything. Sorry, I forget my nomenclature. I rely on a lot of. I'm not an expert. I rely on a lot of documentation. I rely on the resources I have, and I do have a lot of resources. So I'm not so good at, I'll admit, at discussing things outright and using the right nomenclature, but I do have a pretty reasonable knowledge of watches, just from having so many and having to sort so many parts when my dad passed away, and spending so much time. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next frame here. To where we let's take a look at the movement. Okay, once again, upside down. But it looks very similar, right? Okay. Now, if you were able to go in and compare the... and the lighting is actually kind of bad on this one. But that's difficult. If you were to go in... For one, if you compare the serial numbers through lists that have been compiled, there are texts. I'm just gonna... There are texts by George E. Townsend is one. Everything you wanted to know about American watches and didn't know who to ask. That's one decent text, but a text that addresses the subject of railroad watches a little more directly is American Railroad Watches, also by George E. Townsend. And that's a great book. They're both really short. I would say, but they are very concise, to the point. And George E. Townsend was a guy that did quite a bit of research starting in the 50s to document railroad watches. This particular watch, this is a Hamilton. And yeah, other than saying that the other two were, I don't even know if I mentioned that they were Waltham, but those were Ball Waltham. My main thing there was wanting to point out that one was the commercial version and one was the standard version, produced near the same time. Almost everything about the watches seem the same, but 2 joules less, and the lever set. And the lever set was one of the stipulations that was made by Webb C. Ball, that a watch have that in order for it to be railroad quality. Now, the thing is that there were not really so many. There were different opinions. A lot of railroads enacted their own. This is just the back of the watch, the movement. I mean, excuse me, the case there. Nothing great. Should show that briefly there, and get on with it. I want to show some watches live now, but to say what I don't want to address specifics. If you take a look at the resources that I mentioned, or specifically resources from George E. Townsend, you'll find some great information, and also some mention of, yeah, I moved that around a good bit while I was trying to take that video. You can see me being frustrated. But anyway, he alludes to some of the different railroad companies, which there were very many from the 1830s on, even until now. There were many, and they had differing opinions. I don't know how much the government ever stepped in, but there were particularly bad incidents, wrecks, train wrecks, that caused a lot of concern. So, okay, the spoiler I kept showing here, it's just not really a spoiler so much, but it's going to go to the first live shot that I have here. Now, it looks pretty much the same. And I'm not going to keep showing just Ball watches in this video, but okay. Get it around where you can see the bow and the crown there. And honestly, I forget the name there, but that, I believe that particular bow is a patented. It's very similar to one that I know was patented by Ball, but I believe that one is also patented by Ball with the hole through it there. Something like the see, I forget words. That thing that goes over a horse that you sit on. Like a saddle. Okay. Yeah, I forget words. They're not necessarily the technical words. Okay. So, now this is where it's going to be a little difficult because of the focus and because I'm using a webcam, which is not preferable. But if you're unfamiliar with setting a lever set watch, it's easy enough. You just need to remove the bezel. As you could see in the images, sometimes it's a little more difficult, but you're basically just gonna need to twist the bezel off. And I'm gonna hold it near my body just to secure it better. This one is on here pretty well, even though I took it off just recently. Some are a little more stubborn than others. And hell, if I didn't get that one on there, feels like the back wants to come off so much easier. So I'll just take the back off and for a moment show the movement, and then we'll go for the lever and show how to set it. Turn it. And yay, we get it right set up, and that is actually much more clear. And if you know anything about, I said we have it right side up, it appeared right side up to me. Okay, so if you know anything about ball watches, you know that the 999B is obviously a Hamilton. The 999, I feel like I'm moving around, trying to do stuff in a mirror. Okay, almost got it. Yes, it was a puzzle. Okay, the 999 Hamilton was the first ball watch produced. The 999B came along later. I don't have so much information on it right off the top of my head, and I'm not gonna go directly to one of my resources and just read right off the top of my head. But I'm not gonna go reading information directly from text. But this particular this particular watch, as you can see, is adjusted to 6 positions. And let's see if it indicates there. It doesn't actually indicate, but it is a 21 jewel watch, which that's nice. Of course, lever set, Keystone watch case, 10 karat gold filled. Nothing special there, except for it's not gonna wear. That's the one thing about solid gold, or I say solid, but like 14 karat or 18 karat or whatever. It just wears so long. And if you're ever looking at watch cases, if you're ever out and you don't have some sort of reference to hallmarks, there are certain indicators. Now, even if you have a list of hallmarks, they're not necessarily going to mean anything. A list of hallmarks, sometimes they're inaccurate, and they usually have that disclaimer there. There are tests that can be done. And I actually came across a particular watch in my collection last night. I would pull it out real quick and show it to you, but that would take a while for me to locate it. But it said 18K, and didn't look anything like any particular hallmark I'd seen before, but of course there are many. And there was also a scratch above it, which is probably where someone tested it. That's not necessary these days. There are other ways to test little sensors of some sort. God, I have a degree in chemistry, and I'm not exactly sure what the instruments are that they use to test that, but they're fairly accurate. So, I mean, you can go to a pawn shop. They'll whip that out really quick. They they're the guys that deal in gold all the time. So anyhow, but yeah, if you're out looking and you don't know, one of the things is if there's any mention of like warranted for a certain number of years or guaranteed for a certain number of years, that is a clear indication of being gold filled or roll gold or something like that. It's not solid gold. Anything that is solid is either just pretty much going to say how many carats it is. It may say U.S. assay or something like that. But even at that, you can't guarantee anything unless you have it tested. There are some hallmarks that are well known enough that you can trust it. I've had watches that I've sold reluctantly that I knew were solid gold, and the people that bought them from me trusted that they were as well. Okay, looking at this case here also, it's I feel pretty certain here that this is the original case. As you look around, if you look around the case screws, I should have got a better pointing device out. I could have got a screwdriver. Let me grab a screwdriver. I watched me be pretentious here with one of my. This is about the only thing I've ever used this particular screwdriver for. This is a Bergeon Waste Your Money. That's my name for it. Okay, so God, I can't look at both things. Here, this case screw right here, in case you don't know what a case screw is. And then on the opposite side over here, that case screw there. Okay, if you look all the way around the edge of the watch, anytime you have a case, you put a case screw in a watch, it's going to leave a mark right on that lip of the watch where it's very obvious that there's been a case screw there. And there's nothing that you can do about that. And it's kind of cool because it's a clear indication, and it's almost like a fingerprint. It's the first thing that people look for. There are other ways to determine if you question for any reason. But all right. Let me show the inside of the back there, just because it does say it's got the ball official standard Keystone watch case 10 karat gold filled, yeah, the whole thing there. So that is specific to a ball watch, and well, that's obvious even looking at the bow above the crown there. And some of these watches, this one being one of them, the threads are a little finicky, and sometimes just cleaning them is enough. And sometimes some work is involved, but I may demonstrate setting with another watch. That was much easier when I opened it earlier, and this is too bad. But yeah, let me demonstrate with another watch. But it won't be this next one. And it's not going to be a ball watch, which that's okay. I'm moving on from the balls. This is not just intended to be a showcase of railroad watches. this is the next watch here. Is actually this. Okay, it's E. Howard Watch Company. Let me see. Like I said, I'm juggling more things. This is a little difficult because I'm using two of the same type camera, and the lighting, it won't let you adjust anything independently. Basically, it's kind of a pain. All right, so I have a double sunk dial, and actually this is pretty cool. I like the blue 5-minute track on it, double sunk enamel. But let's take a look inside. Always nice to see the dial, but people want to show off the inside of the watch. People always that's goofy how my key bindings are not working for changing scenes. Everything is being extremely agreeable. Okay, and that's not the movement there, but I wanted to show this is the dust cover where it also says E. Howard Watch Company, Boston. Now, I believe that at this point in time, I should have verified the year. And may do a little quick cheat here. Because I'm almost certain that at this point this was the Keystone Watch Company that produced this watch. And Keystone Watch Company bought out E. Howard, which really they just bought out the name. Come on, key bindings. Why are you not working? Oh well. I've got another screen set up here. Questions or requests, follow me and send a message. Twitter. I don't use Twitter much. I may at some point if other people decide they would like to. Now, I actually like this movement a pretty good bit. This is not a typical movement that I would be crazy about, but this one is, well, I don't know. I think it looks nice. You can see where it says, hey, let me actually make the bottom. Special adjustment. You have to look underneath the balance wheel. Ooh, hard to find. Right under my finger there. Special adjustment. 5 positions. Temperature. So 5 positions and temperature. And it shows the pattern up underneath the 3-finger bridge. And yes, I did take notes because otherwise I forget even more. Anyhow, yeah, that's for the most part, that's what I wanted to indicate on that. Well, I just wanted to show that watch because I wanted to showcase a number of watches. My plan was last night to, and like I said, this is a 23 jewel watch, which for pocket watch is getting up there. If you have a 25 jewel watch, probably you've probably got something pretty special in your hands. There are a number of watches, 25 jewel watches, but I say a number of them, not that many as far as antique pocket watches go. Now, a lot of wristwatches, and don't get me going on Swiss watches at all or whatever. When you start getting up into really high numbers of jewels, it doesn't always make any difference. But anyhow, yeah, last night when I really had the idea that, yeah, I'm gonna do a live stream and showcase some watches. My plan was to actually take requests on types of watches that people may be interested in having a look at. And then I had some technical difficulties. Let's not go into that. But, alright. Skipping ahead. Something quite a bit different. Studebaker, South Bend. Now, South Bend, the Studebakers always had kind of interesting dials. But not only that, pretty good watch. Let's see, I don't believe that it's a railroad grade watch. I don't believe it was considered railroad grade. Although it's 21 jewel, that's 16 size, got a double roller. Before I open it up, let's see. That's actually pendant set, so not going to be able to use it as an example either. Even if I don't have one set out that I planned to use for that. I've got plenty right behind me that I can grab, because I do want to demonstrate that. And I do have a swing out case, and that I should put this back here just a minute. The dial here, you can see how has every minute, and that's pretty cool. That's I believe that particular style is Montgomery, and that's a really nice case as well. Does look like if that's actually initials engraved on the back, pretty sloppy initials. Okay. Well, initially I'd planned to kind of go in a certain order, and this watch I hadn't planned to show at all, but I just happened to come up on it, and this is something that people tend to like quite a bit. But if you look at the watch itself, and let me change camera angle here, sorry. It's whatever, Elgin. It's an Elgin. You know, it looks, who cares? Let's see, I'm not even sure what caliber it is, but that's not a bad watch. It's an older watch. That's not the point here. I mean, there's probably a slew of these made. Thing is that this was a salesman case, and I mean that's actually still in the case if you can't tell. You know, those are pretty desirable. It probably sells for more than the. I could probably take the movement out and sell the two separately, and the case would go for more than the movement. It's a good chance. And the thing is that nowadays, one of the sad things is that if you were to, for a lot of watches, if you were to take the watch apart and part it out, sell it by parts, a lot of watches, the parts would actually sell for more than the sum of the parts put together. Yeah, this is not a watch that I'd planned to open. I just wanted to show the case there. Now, actually, okay, yeah. Okay, so this watch here, let me just show it under this camera before I follow through with what I had planned. It's just I'm not sure what grade it is. I didn't check, but you can see it looks like a hairline, at least one hairline going through the center of the dial. It's not in the best shape or whatever. That has nothing to do with the reason I selected this watch to show it. Let's see. Okay. Now this is a swing out case. I don't like this because I have two keyboards here at my elbows. Yeah, I'm gonna eventually. I got a DIY project coming up. DIM, do it myself. Making a new desk. It's gonna be rather large and rather sturdy. But okay, this is a swing out case. I hate the way the lighting is here, but it's very difficult with two cameras like I'm using now to have the lighting look very good with both. Okay, I'm actually going to show this up underneath after removing the bezel with the crystal. And you can see that it is lever set. And okay, for demonstration purposes, in case you're unfamiliar, that's the lever. And you just give it a little pull. Some may have a little more resistance than others, but at that point, you're able to set the watch. The pendant no longer winds the watch. It disengages the winding mechanism of the watch, so you can set it. All right, push the lever back in, and you can wind it. Now, one thing, and I do want to be careful because the majority of these watches, it's been quite some time since they've been serviced, long enough to where I don't know, because they were my dad's and there's so many of them. I have no idea if I devoted my time, if I was an expert and devoted my time to servicing all the watches that I have. Well, it would take a very long time. Okay, before I put that back on, what am I doing? Before I put the bezel back on, swing out case. Okay, these can be confusing, especially with this lighting. Let's see if I can do this another way. I don't want to have to adjust this camera anymore, but okay. Let me get my... This will fit a little better. Okay, you see this little notch down here? This is, you use that to lift the movement up out of the watch, but you can't do it until you pull the stem out. Hear that click? Like that. You want to make sure you do that, because otherwise you're going to break the stem, and it's not going to be good for anything else in the watch either. But mostly you're just going to break the stem. And then a lot of times you can use your fingernail, but for demonstration purposes, I can't fit my finger very well under the camera. But you just lift it like that, and it's got the hinge. I mean, it's just hinged in there like that. So, okay. So it's a 15 jewel Illinois 3-finger bridge. Not sure the grade, the model. I certainly don't have all that memorized. There are some guys that do. More power to them. I have problems remembering people's names. I'm not that forgetful. I just don't remember all things. Okay, now, one thing you can't forget when you're closing it back up, the stem. See if I can get a view of it there. The stem is not just a round piece that fits in a round hole. It's essentially square. That's kind of hard to see. You can kind of tell. All right. And then the hole, well, at least you see the hole there. Can't really tell the shape. But just take my word for it. It's not round. So when you close the watch back up, you don't want to just press. You don't want to use a lot of force and make it go down. You want to make sure and keep your hand on the stem and make sure it's lined up correctly. Now, when I was trying to find a watch earlier, and hopefully this isn't going to happen again, when I was trying to find a watch earlier that I could demonstrate this with, and I never have problems with this. There was an issue with the stem and the winding. It may have been slipping in the sleeve or something like that. But it's usually not very difficult. But you have to make sure that's lined up. Usually, just pop it in. Usually, it's almost like it doesn't get. Usually, it's like I don't lose alignment. But yeah, let me just Try to hold it closer to myself and get it in. You know, that's the second time. Hey, maybe it's the second time in like 12 hours I've had this be more difficult than ever. Stem is actually turning. Curse words. Of course, it's the first time. It's the first time I live stream on YouTube, and the video quality is probably horrible. I have it checked back again. The last time I checked, it looked like they were telling me it was horrible again. Oh well, whatever. If so, I'll just delete it. Because like I said, I'm going to wind up doing a lot of videos on watches. This is the first. Okay, I think. There we go. Back into place. Okay. So you see. Yeah. And you just. And I'm showing this because there are people that. I mean, well, before you know, you don't know. And there are people that don't know. And they have that question. So, yeah, after you get it back in there, you just put the bezel back on and screw it back on. Anytime you put a bezel back on, just make sure that that you're not stripping it. Make sure the threads are aligned well. And that you're not forcing it. Just like I was having problems getting the back off of that one watch. Instead of being hasty about it, since I'm in the middle of a live stream, I just went on past that. And I'll come back to it later. A lot of times, the more pressure you put down on it, the harder it is. It's like if you're just a little more careful, sometimes it's easier than if you're pressing very hard. So I'll come back to it. Maybe it'll be a little happier. Alright. So I have a variety of watches to show today. And that was my plan really last night, was to showcase quite a variety. But, oh God, I started to mention an issue, and I wanted to come back to it. I didn't actually finish what I was saying. I haven't... Any of the watches that I've shown here, even though they're running a little bit, now a lot of people would definitely say don't even do this. These watches, as I said, have not been serviced in quite some time. I don't know how long. So to wind them at all is risky, because they're not lubricated well or at all. They could have other issues as well. And friction kills watches. If your mainspring breaks, it can whip and damage other things, and it's just you can really have problems, not just with your mainspring breaking, but one way or the other. So this is Columbus Watch Company watch. It's 18 size. single sunk dial, Roman numerals. You can tell all the characteristics there as the red 5-minute track. And this is also a lever set. And luckily you don't have to remove the bezel and the crystal on there. You can see there where the lever is. I can easily do it with my finger. Yeah. Some were a little harder than others, but that wasn't too bad. So, and it sets. So, and once again, it's easy enough, but some people don't realize it. I mean, until you learn, how do you know? It's hiding in there, right? And but it almost got me bad feedback on eBay, so made me know for sure, hey, people don't necessarily know this stuff. I learned things because my house was filled with watches growing up. My dad really wanted me to work with on doing things with watches, and I got a lot of cool watches, not just pocket watches. But I'm not talking about like Rolexes either. I've got a lot of opinions about Swiss watches, and probably not as nice as most people. Anyhow, here's the perfect example of a watch that has been recased. I gotta sneak over here. Right here. You can tell that a case screw has been right there. Let's see. That I had problems telling if that was the only. Look. Either way, one is enough. As long as there's not a case screw missing. It looks like there's one other place that was. Yeah, there is one other place. Yeah, I need like audio or some sort of foot pedal to switch cameras, something like that, because my key bindings quit working. Come on now, what's the deal here? Have my stuff set up, had it all working well, not working well now. Okay, let's see. It's gonna go really just to one more watch, and it's nice watch. I have one with a better dial than this, but because this does have a small hairline in it, and it's not quite as nice as the other, even if it didn't have the hairline. That gothic dial, and that's I can't change the focus, unfortunately. except for manually by holding it. So I'm going to try to show that. Let's just do it. I'll see how easy this bezel removes. And this is a lever set also. And there, now I'm going to take a look at it there. A couple of hairlines. I'm having problems showing that. It's slightly overexposed. But there's one near the 7. Yeah, actually you can tell between the 7 and 8. And then one between the 2 and the 3. But I have a couple of these that are immaculate, and they're very desirable dials, and you can imagine why. But a lot of times they're on a bun special, and I do have them on at least one bun special. I don't know. Here, let me show. But this is not. This is not a bun special. Time King. And this is only a 17 jewel watch, but it's still worth showing. Still an interesting watch. At least to me it is. Let's see. Anything else I want to mention specifically? Well, about that watch in particular, it's aside from anything you see there, it's grade 89, whatever, 17 jewel, 18 size, lever set, and once again, the dials are enamel. They're not porcelain. And that's not to give anyone a hard time. It's to educate people so that when you walk in somewhere and you're talking about something, on the off chance that somebody there is going to correct you and make you feel belittled, well, maybe I can help you avoid that. I got my little thing on my head to keep my hair from getting in my watches. I wear it off and on anyhow, but anyhow, that's all the watches that I'm going to show today. But a little I don't know if this is official or whatever, but or if anybody cares, but the AWCI apparently no longer considers themselves a trade organization. They have declared that they consider themselves more. I can't quote too much of anything, because I don't know if this information is give me a second here. Yeah, well, at the very least, I can say that the AWCI, no matter what you know of them or think of them or whatever, no longer thinks of themselves as a trade organization. So basically, watchmakers no longer have a trade organization, which, well, AWCI hasn't really acted as much, in my opinion. Let me just state that, because these guys are weird. they haven't acted so much as a trade organization in a while. Not gonna make any specific accusations, but I don't really know what kind of action you can take to improve. The United States doesn't have a lot of industry at all to speak of. It would be nice if we had some support to where guys that do things like work on watches would be allowed to continue their trade. I mean, now some of these guys are really up there in age, and they're still, I don't know how they can see things that small at that age, but working their butts off. And well, there are a lot of issues, and I'll definitely address some of the issues with the parts restrictions and that sort of thing in some of my future videos, because they do mean something. But I know that my view of that is I look at it much longer term than a lot of people do, dating back to the 1870s or so. And I'll have to look at the information I have. I almost feel like putting some sort of essay together or whatever, but I don't know how much I can use the information I have and present it on a video on YouTube, because I do have to pay attention to copyright laws and that sort of thing. But it's still, there's enough there to express opinions. So anyhow, well, let me just end it there, and I appreciate you guys listening. Anybody who did listen, if you have any questions at all, I really can help out. Now, I'm not always able to just throw knowledge out there to you or whatever, but I have more resources available to me than I've had guys, and this is really due to my dad. I've had guys that it's been their career working on watches, and they've called really my dad's phone because they didn't realize that he had died, and they were trying to get parts. I was like, hey, tell me what you want, and I'll see if I can do it. And I've managed. I haven't done so much of that lately because, well, I've had a lot of people contact me that don't know what they're asking for. I've requested, just as I mentioned earlier, I've requested for them to provide more information, and they don't provide the information. They get upset about it, and the thing is, you have to realize that there's information you have to provide. If you don't provide that information, most people aren't going to be as patient as I am with you. I mean, the guys that are actually experts, that are spending their lives there, that's their job, is to work on watches. They're not going to be as patient. And there's a reason for that. It makes sense. It makes complete sense. I mean, it's basically, I have spent enough time to where I've basically lost money helping people. It's not, looking at it from the standpoint of time as money, because I considered it that I was helping them. So anyhow, just if you're interested in learning more about acquiring parts, it's not necessarily that I'm going to be able to hand you over a list of people, a list of contacts, or anything like that. But if you are aware, then you as long as you are putting yourself out there, meeting people. If you're interested in working on watches and that sort of thing, and you don't know anybody, join the NAWCC. Yeah. Did I say that? Say the right initials there? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, because you can at least meet some people that way, and usually there are local chapters, and you can meet up with some people. I was a member of NAWCC here and there, and I probably will be in the future. I just wasn't taking much out of it. I wasn't getting much out of it because I wasn't attempting to. So anyway, I didn't go network with people, but I haven't had a need. But I have parts. Yeah, the parts that I need, I call people up and get them sent to me or whatever. But you go meet people. You meet people, and you meet their people, and you're nice to them, and you figure out how to ask for parts. If you can find a mentor, if you really want to know, if you really want to learn how to work on watches, you find a mentor, and you dig and dig. And that's one thing that I know my dad had. Somehow he found more contacts than it seems unimaginable. People that really were probably had a lot more expertise on what they were doing were not sometimes had more difficulty finding parts, and that's something that he honed in on, and there's a skill to it, and it's a if you can't find parts, you can't work on watches, really. That's what it amounts to. Anyway, but I should just go ahead and say, hey, if this helped you, please thumbs up. If you think I can help you, get in touch with me. Leave a message underneath the video here. Subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter. Skype. I do have a Skype number, but I also use the same name. Don't ask me how I came up with that username. Whatever. You ever come up? I hate coming up with usernames and then they stick with you. But hey, call me Flood, call me Jason. It doesn't matter. People don't call me Flood in real life. But so anyway, if I can help you, just let me know. I'll do what I can. But it would be nice. Help me out, guys. Thumbs up. Be great. Subscribe. Watch. Need as much help as I can get, but I'm going to come at you with videos. If you have any requests on particular watches you want to see, any calibers, any particular brands, I have a lot of movements. I have a lot of parts. I've got dials. I've got a lot of things I can really showcase, and it can help you learn. One of the things, if you really want to learn about parts, straight up, get on eBay and buy a box of junk parts and go through it and try to figure out what it is. Try to figure out what the parts are. Just a box of junk. I mean, if you're into, no matter what you're into, if you just get a box of watch parts, it's gonna help you. But if you're into, say, specifically American pocket watches, well, if you get a box of Swiss parts, it's not going to help you identify American pocket watch parts, but it will help you identify when a part is not an American pocket watch part. There's something to being able to identify everything like that. That really can help you overall, even if you don't like Swiss watches, or Japanese watches, or whatever. There's something to being able to identify every sort of watch that you can get your hand on, every piece. Anyhow, well, thumbs up if you can, guys, if you like it, if you got anything out of it. I have no idea what the quality was like, if YouTube ever kind of cleared up and got it going. Otherwise, I just wasted who knows how long running my mouth. But yeah, thumbs up, please subscribe and come back. And I am gonna do a lot of videos on watches. I mean, a slew of them, and I will be doing a lot of videos on other stuff as well. But if you're into watches, just keep your eye out, and the title will tell you. And I don't know, other things you may or may not be interested in. I've got a lot of hobbies, and that's kind of what my YouTube channel is about. But anyhow, all right. Well, thanks for joining me, and see you guys next time. Later.